Welcome to this cash working group meeting. Sorry for the delay due to technology issues. This is the last meeting of the cash working group for this year, and we will meet again next year. Before starting, I suggest that we do a round table with people who are here with us here in Dakar. My name is Tomasi, working with the Cash Working Group Network. My name is Sophie. I am the administrative assistant. Good morning. My name is Hortense. I work at the regional office. Thank you. My name is Abdullahi. I also work with CALP office at the regional office. Good morning. My name is Valerie. I'm an advisor at the regional office. Thank you, everyone, for all of you online. I'm sorry my camera has a little issue. So if you want, you can introduce yourself in the chat box. So we are going to start. We are going to present to you the agenda of this meeting. But before that, as usual, we have the possibility to take part in this meeting either in English or French because interpretation is available. You just select the interpretation feature on your platform and select English if you want to follow in English. So this meeting will be recorded and shared with on the website of CALP. It will be accessible for a moment, especially for those who are not here. And thank you all speakers who are ready. Please speak at a normal pace in order to allow the interpreters to do their job correctly. So talking about the agenda, we are going to do a roundtable. The various people who are connected with the various activities they are doing. And then we will have a presentation of the Danish Council, Danish Refugees Council on a regional program that they've implemented on cash transfer with local stakeholders. And then we are going to split into groups. And for those of you who are not familiar with this, we are going to show you how it works, and we will explain to you how this works. And finally, we are going to have the any other business. If you have some points in any other business, please put them in the chat and add the point you would like to discuss in any other business. We will give you the floor at the end if you have something to share. So that's it. If you also want to intervene, please raise your hands and you will have the floor. Otherwise, we invite you to put all your comments in the chat box during the presentations or even during the roundtables. If you have comments or suggestions for the various speakers, they are very welcome. This will help us to interact on the topics discussed. Without further ado, let's start with the roundtable. I'm seeing a hand raised. Let's give the floor to the cash working group of Mali to start this roundtable. So Jibril, the floor is yours. Thank you, Mirko. Good morning to you all. I hope that you are having a good day. My name is Jibril Newton. I'm in charge of coordination of the cash working group in Mali. I have some thematics to share with you today. The first one is on the MEB process. Since May 2023, we've triggered the process and various phases were followed Recently, we've organized the National Workshop of Data Analysis, MEB Data Analysis, during which all the stakeholders, the clusters, and state entities took part in the process. It was a consensual approach. The workshop was based on a consensual approach, uh, and we've used the NSAN database for anything related to food, and we've also used the MOB database for non-food issues. It was a hybrid approach, which takes into consideration the approach based on expenditures as well. For expenditures approach, we've used the INSAN database, and the other one was for non-food issues. And we focus on this to calculate the MEB. We have the amounts per region. Each region in Mali has a transfer amount and a transfer value. So it was a matter of making the difference because in Mali, each region has its specification. So the presentation of the results will also be on the cash working group in Mali, which will be held very soon. And for the next steps, we have a report drafting workshop, which will be held from the 16th to the 17th November 2023, and the national workshop for the validation of the report, which will be held on the 30th of November 2023. So that's what I wanted to share with you. Moreover, we will try also to discuss about the strategic workshop on the cash working group. As you know, we are at the end of the year, and by this we mean that we have to prepare the coming year. So we in Mali we have to organize a strategic workshop of the cash working group, which will be held from the 27th to the 28th November, so that altogether we could define an action plan and work on the strategy of the cash working group 2024. You also know that soon we have to use the money from the donors because in Mali cash working groups there are some activities that have to be financed for 2024. We are focusing on that strategy and on the action plan. And finally, I'll try to discuss with you on the context of Mali. As you know, maybe you know, or some of you don't know, but in Mali, we have the return of MINUSMA. And when you talk about the return of MINUSMA, we have security issues. And since the departure of MINUSMA in Mali, we have uh, exacerbation of attacks and in the northern parts of Mali. And this is also a concern. And it raises issue about how the market works. Markets are not supplied. There are attacks of goods and on goods and blockades on goods transports. And when you talk about cash transfer, we talk about markets because one of the conditions for the feasibility of a program based on cash transfer, we need the market to be functional. So the blockades on the markets raise the issue on cash modality in Mali. So as a stakeholder in Mali, that's what we can say. And we will discuss with the stakeholders and during our workshop to find out how global the impact is at the northern part of the country and how this could have an impact on the card modality within the cash working group. It's also true that in uphill, some studies were conducted by Rish, and we are trying to determine what are more or less markets that were affected by this. But up to now, the study referred to only three markets in the northern part of the country. We would like to have more extended study in the northern areas of the country as this affects the whole region of the north. globally speaking. So that's what I wanted to share with you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Jibril. I don't know if someone has one or two questions for Mali. We've well understood that the context is becoming us and complex. Thank you for sharing this with us. We are seeing a lot of interesting things that are ongoing. We are also inviting you, if you have questions for Mali, please put them in the chat box as I'm not seeing any hand raised. Now we'll give the floor to Burkina Faso. I don't know who is in Burkina Faso, Sani Sarata, for the presentation. Good morning, everyone. Morning, Sani. My name is Sani. I am the lead of the cash working group, which is hosted by OCHA. As for Burkina Faso, we have a point to share this platform that is about the political contest related to the use of cash transfer systems. And the situation got deteriorated with new sanctions following a message of the Ministry of Administration, Territorial Administration. This is about the situation we are facing for more than a year now. And now we are going into a more restrictive context regarding the use of cash in this country. So in the cash working group, we have all the humanitarian actors who are discussing in order to find out what are the common positions and the ideas we could propose for the group that will meet this evening. So at the cash working group level, we agreed to have a common position with key messages which will be shared with the humanitarian team in the country, and that team will take that message to the authorities. All this is happening in a context since March. The stakeholders and government are working on a document that will frame the use of cash transfer in this context. Unfortunately, based on the last decisions, we've stopped this process of adoption of the document. However, we are still waiting the feedback of the authorities with regard to the proposal made on how to proceed with the adoption of this document. I will stop for now. If Sanata or my other colleague, they could add on what I've said. Thank you. Yes, I would like to add something. If the colleagues don't have something else to add, if you have questions, please feel free to ask them. As for me, I'll be really interested to know what you think about this, due to the fact that you are working on the protocol. Do you have information or do you have the feeling like this will improve the context, or you can't say anything about it yet? Good morning. Maybe we'll say something if Sunny allow me. I think that the adoption of the document or the upcoming document, we don't call it protocol anymore. It will have the format of a ministerial decree, which will be adopted by the government, and we are convinced that its adoption will open the way to remove the suspensions in various regions in the country. Of course, Sahel, the first region that decided suspension, will continue to maintain that suspension because they are not convinced. That's why they don't want to remove the suspension. But the other regions told us that they are expecting the adoption of this regulatory framework. However, we believe that the new proposal will involve more control and more involvement of government in the humanitarian interventions, and we have to pay close attention to the humanitarian actions which could suffer from the control of the government on all this. Thank you. Over. And we are also really interested and we are monitoring the situation. And if you would like to find out in which measure we could send the cash working group. And we are seeing all this in other countries as well. But for now, we don't have any danger there. But the contest is being improved, is evolving. Uh, so this restriction may be based on the Burkina Faso contest. But if you could adopt some mitigation mechanisms, it will help to avoid that this is repeated, that this to be repeated in other countries. Thank you for highlighting this humanitarian aspect. This is at the heart of our work in order to make sure that the beneficiaries are protected. I'm not seeing any hand raised. I think there is a question in the chat box. Do you have an idea about when this ministerial decree will be approved? Do you have an idea, a date? Thank you, Asita, for this question. Currently, we cannot say anything about the date, but the discussions or information that we received yesterday informed us that the document is with the Ministry of Humanitarian Action and the Ministry of the Territorial Administration, and the idea is to prepare a decree, ministerial decree. And this makes this exercise complex because the committee which works on this made two proposals on a legal point of view. Either is an autonomous decree or a law, depending on the position adopted by the authority. It will take time. For example, if it's an autonomous decree, it requires a very long process. We hope that they won't adopt that position, and we it will be better to be a ministerial decision which will allow the concerned ministries to adopt it very quickly. We cannot say anything about the dates, and these are the points on which we would like to ask the humanitarian team in the country to insist on, so that we could have an acceleration of this process to have the final outcome. Thank you, Sani. Because of time, we move forward. This is a very interesting discussion. There is another question in the chat box. Please reply to that question in the chat box, and we'll continue with the other countries. And this is a thematic that we are going to monitor at our regional cash working group because this will have an incidence on the other countries. Thank you very much, Burkina Faso. Let's move now to Cameroon with Jerry. Jerry, are you there? You have the floor if yes. Good morning, Mirko. Good morning to you all. Could you hear me? Can you hear me? Good morning, Mirko. Can you hear me? Yes, can hear you loud and clear. Good morning. Yes, for the Cameroon Cash Working Group, we have two main points. The first one is the preparation of the retreat, which will be organized to discuss about the coordination and the new actions to be implemented, notably the roles and responsibilities of leads, programmatic leads and non-programmatic leads, and how this is going to be articulated or formulated in sub-regional cash working groups. And that retreat will also allow us to adopt and update the action plan for the year 2024, which will be inspired by a mission in the field conducted between OCHA and WFP with regards to the expectations, where the expectations of the various stakeholders were collected, especially regarding data collection with the government and the stakeholders, because there is a huge progress of social protection activities and strong collaboration with government, which is interested by cash transfer, uh, capacity building, information sharing, monitoring of markets. We are going to work and propose an action plan during that retreat and adopt it, and we'll start planning for 2024. Moreover, we will have to define a roadmap, date of elections of programmatic leads with the support of the various regional offices in order to better implement cash policies. The second point is about the follow-up on assessments and cash transfer in crisis areas. We've started in the northern part of the country, and we've launched the first part of this in the northern part regarding the Central African Republic refugees. And we are planning to discuss with stakeholders and the socio-political crisis in the northern part of the country and southwestern part of the country. All this is done with all the stakeholders involved in social protection. It was not obvious because we needed to agree upon a methodology that will be acceptable by everyone. We are working through that to have a very inclusive uh, proposal and look at where cash will be implemented in 2024. Those are the key points I wanted to share with you. Thank you. Thank you, Jerry, for highlighting this. There is a question in the chat box. Does someone want to say something? If yes, please raise your hand. I'm seeing a question in the chat box. Is the transition plan being developed already? Yes, thank you, Jibril. During this retreat, we are going to validate the transition plan. There will be no election during this retreat, but we will have a common understanding on the roadmap and even the conditions to be programmatic leads or non-programmatic lead. We know that non-programmatic lead involve OCHA and OCA, and the role that the national structures could play, be it governmental institutions or local institutions, should be discussed during that retreat. And we will agree upon all this. The roadmap will be implemented in 2024. Thank you very much, Jerry. I'm not seeing any other question. We are monitoring the work of the cash working group in Cameroon because we are looking at that transition, which is really interesting, and we are also going to see how this work will be done in order to serve as an example for other cash working groups. And also, thank you for the work you are doing regarding the planning for 2024. It's interesting to know how this will be organized. Uh, Jerry, you have another question. I don't know if you would like to reply directly. Yes, I've seen the question. It's about the terms of reference. As we have to update all this, let me reply to Bindal and then share with you the new version of the TOR that we have. Thank you, Jerry. If we don't have any question here, we move to Central Africa Republic. Who is connected? No. Let's try with Niger. Are you connected? I'm not saying Patrice. Fatima, is Niger connected? I'm not saying Niger. They were supposed to be connected right now. Let's move to the cash working group from Nigeria. I'm seeing Ari.
Hi, Miko. Good day, colleagues. Please, can you confirm if you can hear me? Okay, thank you very much. My name is Mary Sunday. I am here representing the Cash Working Group Coordination Team from Nigeria. Just to share 2 points from our end. We have been updating this group on our MEB, Northeast MEB reports review that we were conducting the exercise, and happy to say that we have finalized and published the MEB review document. I will be sharing the link in the chat box shortly, where you can go to and maybe read the reports and maybe gain some lessons and also see what we did. So during the course of this review, we had like just few um, key learning from the review of the MEB. One of it was to involve the sector and cluster working groups more in data collection and the review of the basket, as we understood that most sectors in Nigeria also did a review, and also they have some guidance notes. So if it was essential that we involve some of these sectors so as to have some sort of alignment in the document. And also for us to set, clear timelines and also get committed technical, de dedicated tax team members, and not just few people volunteering, just to have like better commitments to achieve a better result at the end of the day. So that's it. Secondly, following recommendations from our National Cash and Voucher Policy Needs Assessment, and the secondary data review that was done on adapting to inflation and depreciation exercise. The Cash Working Group Nigeria has kickstarted an FSP mapping exercise across the Northeast Nigeria. We've started discussions with partners already, and we are currently putting together the tool we'll be using for that exercise. So progress on this will be updating with the group subsequently as we progress. So I think that's all from our end. Over. I don't know if we have any questions or comments.
Thank you very much, Mary, for Nigeria Cash Working Group. I'm saying that there is a question in the chat box. The question is in English. It's about the cash policy documents in Nigeria. Could you please reply to that question, Mary?
Yes, thank you so much, Jibril. So the National Cash and Voucher Policy document has been validated and approved by the Federal Executive Council. So as it is right now, the NCBA consultant and the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs are working on an implementation action plan to complement the document. So we're waiting on communication from their end. And I think we'll be having a discussion next week, Monday, on that. And I'll be giving you updates on that. Maybe if you could drop your email address on the chat box as well, I'll get back to you on further details and also dates of the official launch of the MCBA policy. Thank you.
There is also another question on MEBs. Could you please reply to that question as well, Mary?
Okay, yeah. So the Northeast MEB was endorsed and approved by the ISCG, and yes, we considered outcomes from the inflation and also the fuel subsidy and the high rate of exchange rate as well. All those factors were considered into the prices of items in the MEB as well. Over.
Thank you very much, Mary. If you have further questions, please do not hesitate to add them in the chat box. So these were very interesting discussions. Unfortunately, I just got a message from RCA, Central African Republic Cash Working Group, which is not available, and they've shared with us some key points. And at the end of the meeting, if you have time, I could share them with you. I haven't received yet any response from Niger. Let's move to Chad. I'll give the floor to the Cash Working Group of Chad. Are you all connected? Chad, Adalgo, you have the floor. Hello, are you there? We can't hear you. Your mic is on, but we can't hear you. Hello? I think there is an issue with Adaogo's microphone because we cannot hear him. Adaogo, we still can't hear you. Please check if you have an issue with your microphone. And before that, let's move to the last country, Democratic Republic of Congo. I think Claire is online. So Claire, you have the floor. Good morning, dear colleagues. My name is Claire, and I've joined the OCHA office, like Humanitarian Affairs Officer, Cash Coordinator, and I'm ensuring the lead of a team here. We are three in our team. My colleague Bindal, who is responsible for the programs, and Rika, who is supporting me in non-programmatic part and information management. So this is my first meeting, taking part in the regional cash working group. I'm going to give the floor to Bindal. I'll be very happy to discuss later with you on what we are doing here in GRC in our team. Thank you. You have the floor, Bindal. Thank you so much, Claire. The first news from our side is the change in the coordination team. Raquel, who was the co-coordinator, and is the chair of the cash working group, is still around. I've just joined the country like program coordinator 5 weeks ago, and Claire has been there only 2 weeks for 2 weeks now. So it's a new team, and we have 3 priorities. And we really like you to share with us templates and any other things. The first thing is the challenge related to the mapping of financial service providers in the country, we've carried out analysis, I think, in 2021 and 2020, in order to see what is the satisfaction of services received from service providers. Now we have a map which will look deeply into geographical aspects and security management, as well as financial issues of these stakeholders, because they really look at the speeds of emergency response. Generally, this takes 2 to 3 weeks for service providers, and they've when they have discussions with humanitarian organizations, they say they say no very quickly, and they want to cooperate and work with big organizations. We can look at this at various angles and also see the use of uh, traders, local traders like Havana that we have here, in order to have a better view of this. So if you have lessons learned on the use of various types of service providers, and also on how, I mean, if you can share with us lessons learned on common discussions in terms of coordination of on various humanitarian cash transfers with regards to these service providers, this will help us a lot. So that's the first thing. The second point is that we would like to prioritize is to take stock of the situation of the markets and how to improve them. Today in the country, we have Kaid, Edman, and Yanamai who are all there, but they are not organized. And we've had various meetings with various counterparts, and we would like to launch a dashboard of catch working group instead of GMMI here, because the country is too big, and humanitarian actors are not everywhere. Mm, They don't share data with each and with one another. So we need to look at the feasibility of the cash in these areas. So if you have with you some indicators that you could share with us, apart from what GMMI has or CLDC has, or if you have templates for this dashboard, they will be very welcome. So it will be really interesting for us to hear back from you on these issues, and we will try to find out how we can have more geographical access or more geographical coverage with our members in the country. And also, we will continue having these discussions. However, we will really be interested if there is another cash working group which is managing and responsible for monitoring the markets, or if they have a dashboard focusing on various secondary data. The third point we would like to talk about is to analyze the risk analysis, and how to take action with regards to fraud and gender-based violence in the country. We've developed a risk analysis which is shared and common, and also developed common mitigation strategies. We would like to launch a workshop to got all these. This will be, if you have templates in that area, they will be very welcome. Also, if you have working groups which did work on this, they could share their opinions with us. So thank you. If you have some other points to highlight, Claire, feel free. Thank you. Thank you very much, Vindal. Thank you, Claire. I am seeing many things, many interesting things popping up. I don't know if we have colleagues online who would like to react regarding the points you've highlighted, especially regarding the mapping of financial service providers, and also market analysis that you would like to set up with a dashboard with the cash working group. So I don't know if people have questions. I've not checked in the room. I don't know if someone in the room has questions. If you have questions in the room, please feel free to ask the question. And please, colleagues online, if you would like to ask questions, please feel free. We here at CALP will think about this, and of course, we have available resources. We are going to share them with you. And maybe, as you know, we take this opportunity to tell all the leads, colleague leads of the cash working groups that there is a global group of Skype cash working group. So do not hesitate to ask these questions on global Skype. If you can even ask this in English, it will be welcome. Because this helps to have ideas coming from various continents. So if you would like to be added to the global Skype, do not hesitate. You can send out a message and we'll add you. Let me check if we don't have any question for you. So I'm not seeing any hand raised or specific question. Let's try again with chat cash working group. Adaogo, we were not able to hear you a moment ago. Could you please try again? Now we can hear you, but you are not loud enough. Thank you for the presentation, DRC. I'm very sorry I was having issues to raise my hand. And thank you and welcome to the team. Thank you for the various actions undertaken. Yes, it's true that as for the challenges of having a good number of service providers is a real challenge. But apart from traders or retailers, will we have another opportunities to face that challenge of widening the possibilities or extending the possibilities of having service providers, financial service providers in DRC? Will there be other opportunities in that area? Thank you. Could you please introduce yourself so that we could know who you are, please? My name is Jacques Abiyarimana, and we are at the eastern part of DRC. And this is for the regional cash working group of Northern Kivu, Goma, and Little Bunya. Thank you. Thank you, Jacques. Bindal, you have the floor. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jacques. As we don't have a lot of time, we focus on the key points where we will need collaboration with the other working groups in the regions. As you highlighted, this is not just about involving small traders. We have a three-pillar strategy. The first one is to carry out advocacy with organizations doing cash transfer in a frequent way. And also with regards to financial inclusion, we need to discuss with the donors on this. If organizations do twice, thrice, 5 times or 6 times cash transfers, we want them to look at how we can support financial inclusion and support for mobile money, for example. For organizations working in emergency, it will not be useful to buy phones or buy SIM cards for a single transaction, whereas these mobile money agencies do not have a presence in the area or do not have financial capacity in these areas. So the second thing is to work on a map mapping and look at the banks and the other service providers and put around the table organizations that have a financial importance, financial uh, portfolio, and why not try to have contracts with all the humanitarian workers with big banks in order to negotiate rates and stop uh, have like a preferential commitment of service providers. Thirdly, we need also to look at the possibilities, especially in areas where access is not always easy, and service providers like banks and cash transfer agencies do not want to take any risk and go there. And in those areas, we could focus on the traders. That's another strategy, globally speaking. And for all this, if there are working groups that have done this before, if there are lesson learned, it will be good to share them with us. They'll be very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question, and thank you, Linda, for all you have said. And as I said, we will share some other things with you after. We will get back to you. Now, if there is no other question, we're going to move forward, and we are going to host a group of chat for their presentation. Are you there? We can't hear you. We can see that your microphone is open, but we can hear you. I think there is a problem, or maybe the connection, or maybe you have some issues with your microphone. Before giving the floor for the presentation, I'm going to try with Niger to see if they are connected. If they are, Patrice, are you there? Patrice said he's available, but I don't know if there is someone else from Niger who would like to share with us their presentation. I can see someone else. So I think if the cash working group from Chad is not here, we are going to give them the floor after. And we can move to other businesses if there is no one else, and then actor. I'm going to give the floor to Abdullah for his presentation introduction. Thank you very much, Leopold. Can you all hear me? Can you all hear me? Okay, I'm going to share my presentation. So, as Leopold has already introduced it, we're going to move to another presentation from the DRC. Is on example of an initiative on localization. It's a very important theme for CALP. And for all of you who are not aware, the last 15 June, CAP and humanitarian offices of USAID together have organized a meeting, and it was actually to work on the humanitarian policy, generally speaking. And then after that meeting, the high-level meeting, CALP has initiated a consultation, particularly roundtables, which was for local actors and regional actors from Western and Central Africa, and it was organized the 25th October. After that, we had other consultations in the Middle East and also other groups for Eastern Africa. And apart from that, we had other consultations which were open, more open. It was not only for local actors like the one that we had at the regional level, but it was also open to other people to discuss about what people think about these themes of localizations and humanitarian assistance, which was targeted to the different population. And in the same vein, we wanted actually to share with you our experiences here at the DRC. There will be a presentation from DRC, and then we'll have another exercise which will follow the presentation. DRC, Junior, are you there? Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. My name is Joseph Junior. I'm the regional coordinator, but I'm based in Dakar. And with me, we have Paolo Alexandro that works with the Department of Multibe in the Western region of Africa. And I'm also the coordinator of that region when it comes to cash transfer. I'm going to give the floor to Junior for a very quick introduction, and then after I will come back to the presentation. As Abdullah said at the beginning, this context of the context of this presentation is actually to lay emphasis on localization and the programmatic approach based on localization, which is linked to cash, and that will allow us to put to what will allow us to share with you the different challenges and highlight some of the points and the different partners around the table had to share in their specific missions with their local organizations. We are going to have a group work, and we'll answer one or two questions that will conclude this section. The objective is to have a concrete point after these presentations, and that will allow us to work on the mainstreaming of local organizations in the working groups, the CWGs, and the final objective is what we can draw from these working groups and how to present it. And for this section, we are going to talk about the contest, and then after you have a global background about the project and what are the different outcomes that we had, and we were going to discuss about the different challenges. After that, Nyanko, we're going to share with you what we have found. I'm going to give the floor to Paolo for his presentation. Thank you very much, and we continue. Thank you very much, Junior, for this presentation. Good morning, everyone. And thank you, Abdullah, for this opportunity. Just a quick word. As you know, many of you have already heard about this project, and I think there was already a presentation made at the beginning of this year when we started the project by our former colleague, Alain. And he was here before Junior, and maybe there are some of the information that we're going to repeat, but we wanted actually to share with you an overview on this project. Very quickly, the context of this project is the Sahel region, the 3 countries of the Sahel region, and the region of the Litagogolma. You know more than me the situation that is prevailing in the region. and the geographical context of the Litako-Gourma region. And specifically, this project is in the framework of a mechanism and responses that have been implemented in different countries. And the objective is to respond to the needs of the population. Next slide, please. Very quickly, the project overview, which is financed by FCDO, and the duration is for 31 months, and actually is for the areas of active conflict. And we are in partnership with 6 organizations, local organizations, which were identified. You can see the logos of the different organizations, and I think that most of you know those organizations. We have national organizations that are well known in the different countries. And as I was saying, the key sector for our partners is to be on the first line of emergency in the multipurpose cash through our cash transfers, and that is for response to the basic needs of the population. And we have Niger also as part of it. In Niger, we have one part that takes into consideration, that works on wash point. We have, for the budget, we have 3.2 million of euro. As you know, is the first project that we are implementing there, and 63% of the budget is for local organizations. For the budget for national organization is around 300,000 euros. And the global framework, and we have 3 outcomes that on which we are working on. First of all, the 3 outcomes. The first one is the identification, the selection, which took 7 months in 2022. We had 3 countries, Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. And then we had the mapping of local organizations. We have identified also areas, key areas for this project. And we've launched a manifestation of interest in 3 countries. And we have selected organizations. The second result is the capacity building, and where we have in DRC a lot of activities, and the third outcome, which was the rapid response by the different organizations. So this is good to give you an overview of the frame of this project in terms of the geographical positioning. You can see the different details of the zones on which the partners are working. Flash. The project is called Flash, and I'm sure that many of you have already heard about the project. We are covering in total 7 regions in the Litako-Gourma, and these regions are on the map. The idea, as I said at the beginning, is to identify areas with local partners on the basis of their positioning. And we have also the complementarity objective with the partner RRM, which is already there, and the complementarity was a very key point since the beginning of this project. And it is in this framework that we are working. Now we're going to move very quickly to the different overviews. As I said, the project started in 2022, and the implementation phase with the organizations has started in 2023, and we are implementing it for 11 months now. What is very interesting, which we think is very important to share with you, is the advancement level of the project. Talking about the budget, after the first year of implementation, we are in overall, we have at a consumption rate of 31% in 1 year. And you can also see the different expenditures of the partners. One important information is that the framework that we have implemented, we put in place with the partners, is also something that reflects the reality of the country. And the project on which we are working are proposed by the different organizations, and is something that responds to the needs and the capacities of the different partners. Now, for the budgets, the global budgets that we give to each partners have the same the budget, and is around £265. And as you know, it depends on the different contracts. And the budget, when it comes to the investment of the budget, which is a very important point, the different partners that you can see in the table, on the table, have also evolved, and a lot of activities implemented. There is an example here, A2N. We can hear the speaker anymore. Paolo, we've lost you. Paolo, can you hear us? We can't hear you, Paolo. We can say that the microphone is still open, but we can't hear you. We're really sorry, Christian. We're going to wait for him. And we're going to check if the connection issues are resolved. There was a problem. Okay, let's move very quickly to give you the results. As I said, we have 3 outcomes. The first one is a result of expression of interest, and the initial selection based on the minimum requirement. Can you share the presentation with us again, because we can't see the presentation? Microphone. We can hear you very well, but we would like to know if you can share again the presentation with us on your screen. Thank you very much. And then if you can resume from where you stopped. You were talking about the different expenditures. Okay, if you have problems, we can just share it ourselves. So I was saying that when it comes to the expenditures analysis, we can say that the project is also responding at adapted level at every level. And as you can see in Burkina Faso, they are already in the Sahel region and in the northern part of the region, and they had a problem when in the implementations of the project due to the ban of local authorities, but they didn't prevent our different partners to our partners to finance the organizations and also to recruit and train staffs and to position themselves. That started since the beginning of the year, and we also had advocacy, joint advocacies before local authorities, and that allowed us in October to respond to some of the needs through different fairs. And as I said, we were going to move very quickly to give you an overview of the different outcomes. The first point was the selection of the partners. We've received a lot of applications and we are very happy about it. It means that local organizations in the region are local organizations that are ready to enlarge our emergency programs, because when we launched the application, we wanted actually organization to apply for it. And most of the profiles of our organizations are organizations that are there on working on developing projects for a very long time. And they have accepted to reorient some of their priorities on the needs of the project. And that shows that a lot of organizations are interested on the project. And some elements of analysis, as I said, all organizations had the same amount of money. It was the same budget given to each of them. And all the proposals have asked for the maximum available. At the end, taking into consideration the projects that we received, we have decided to reduce it from 300 millions. We have reduced it to 200 million for each organization. And we have also noticed that in all the applications that we have received in terms of quality, I'm talking about the quality of the proposals, the presentations of the different projects and annexes. We have noticed that we have more complete applications coming from Burkina Faso. So we've noticed that when it comes to administrative criteria, a lot of participants from Burkina Faso have reached the minimum requirement. And for the second outcome, it was on the capacity of the organizations. Is something that is implemented by the DKIP of DRC. We had a strengthening of capacities of those different partners at the beginning of the project, and we've also put in place in the framework of the capacity building a planning of training, which has as a target different groups and also support groups. finance, logistics, compliance, on the framework of monitoring and evaluation. And today we've put in place a training of 100 years in total, which means that we have 1 month of training for every organization in each country, which is a great result have. We have also defined a partnership with another organization, and we have the technical framework. We have monitoring, evaluation, and the project management. And those trainings are targeted to partners of Flash. We have also the staff from DRC and the different streams of strengthening, the monitoring and evaluation, and finance. We've also initiated a reflection work with our partners, which will, when it comes to cash transfer, third outcome, which is a point of interest for us, is a result that trying to have a rapid response to emergency situations. A quick point for everyone at the setup that we've put in place in DRC is one chief head of projects who has a lot of experiences in rapid responses, who works in partnership with the different stakeholders, and every partner has a head of project, and there should be a setup that will follow the involvement of things and the technical aspects. So is everything that everyone knows. We have humanitarian and watch. We have a rapid assessments to trigger the response and also to plan the responses, how to target, and also to convey the needed response. So as you know, is a standard cycle. And the main outcome that we are assessing right today in the rapidity of this response is that we have a deadline of 1 month or 1.5 months, depending on the partner, and when we're going to implement it. You can also see that we have different deadlines. The date of monitoring, and it changes related to the partner. And all this information is will be available. Were available since August, and it depends between. It varies between 10 days to 1 month. And then after that, we have the implementation moment. There are some factors that have an impact on the delay. For instance, access problems. And all the figures that you can see here are the average figures. There are some of them who have some issues related to access. We have also some internal control issues when it comes to the finance disbursement. Some of the batches of the disbursement had delay because of those problems of implementation. We are also working on the revision of database and the reporting issues when it comes to data management. I'm talking about the impact. You can see that there is an increase in the positioning of partners, which is more stable as we are evolving. And partners have responded to our call. And that is also to show that the mandate, which is of the project, which, as you know, this project is for a rapid response. Sometimes, as you know, they are not taken into consideration very quickly for many reasons. So we have noticed that partners were able to share with us some of their needs according to sectorial standards, and also respond to this response. In general, we have responded to 22 small-scale alerts, which was shared with ACRM coordination bodies, and 26 rapid responses implemented since the start of the project. And around 12,000 individuals served between February and August 2023. At the beginning of this project, there was a question how these different response mechanism will be implemented. And the consideration that we've taken into consideration is to, first of all, have partners that already have an experience in their implementing framework. First of all, the one that have an experience with cash transfer, with international organizations. Yet this experience is not the same with what we are implementing in our project. There are some activities of targeting, of activities of distributions, but in all these projects, they should normally put in place or implement how that can be done. And together we will validate the mechanism of modality, which will help our partners to have the same understanding and the same ground of understanding. In the framework of the implementation of this cash transfer, everything that is related to preferences, analysis, market analysis, etc., etc. A lot of information has been shared, and there was a work with the different partners to clarify those information. And once the mechanism has been identified and the partner been at ease with the implementation of this method and the different providers implementing those types of services. And finally, after the support of at each level at the DRC in our country, there was a contract that we had with the providers. That was a work that we conducted in partnership on the basis of the procedures of the partners and what they have in place. So we had a process of due diligence, the logistic procedure, which were, let me say in quotation, validated for having a contract with the different providers. So the head of projects, logistics, etc., etc. In terms of responses, the standard that our partners are referring to here, the standard that we have, as you know, there was activities of watch, and every partner has submitted in their project this aspect with a work with a network and focal points. We have also partners that are doing humanitarian watch. I'm thinking about SOD, one of our partners in Mali, which is in charge of the humanitarian watch. And when it comes to rapid needs analysis, we wanted to be aligned in the sectorial standards and also by using the different tools and the methodology within the rapid needs analysis. And I think you have already sent a report on the assessment, most of you. And when it comes to targeting strategies defined at country level, we're going through different strategies which have which have points on static-based targeting, and also inclusion of host quotas based on a vulnerability criteria. There is also an adaptation to different contexts, and the response and follow-up is entirely the responsibility of the partner. The partner is always supported by our colleagues of the DRC, the head of projects, etc., etc. So, as you know, there is a framework of support and the coaching. And this framework of coaching was also the occasion for us to experience something new. For instance, in Burkina Faso, the partner has participated in activities of rapid responses in the framework of our project Frontline. And so there was a shadowing mission on ground to support the DRC team in the different targeting missions. So that was a learning by the way process, and that was under the supervision of DRC. And this is not to judge, but to highlight some challenges. We have 3 topics or subjects: the compliance, at the level of compliance, what we've experienced, So all those organizations were well structured in terms of internal procedure. When it comes to, with regard to financial report, we have found that there was a lot of points which were not in line with what we asked them. So internal control mechanisms are weak. And another element, and also another point is the capacity of partners to absorb ineligible expenditure is limited. Today is DRC that is ensuring the risk before the donor. We had also to assess real-time assessment, I would say. We also have program assessments to detect errors, and also to address these different challenges when we'll be moving forward. We have also the mechanism of small grants, which can be controlled, which allowed us to control the different risks in terms of data management and information management. As I said, there is a lot of issues, challenges that we should address. We have the resources dedicated to data management that are limited in terms of number and dedicated staff and their knowledge. We need, as you working in the domain, you know the amount of data that you have to treat is a big challenge. In terms of programmatic quality, sure, the framework was clarified before at the beginning of the project. There is a cross-cutting issues that are not taken into consideration, and there was a lot of reminder messages sent. And in terms of accountability, we've noticed that the system exists, but they are not able to furnish a lot of data. Today, we do not have a lot of information or data in terms of the functioning of the partners. Is another challenge on which we are working since the beginning of this action. And in terms of coordination, there is a focus on the sectorial coordination in terms of related to cash. Our partners, the partners of Flash, have also integrated the coordination team, and today they are always there when we have meetings at the national and local level. They sometimes even have the lead position, or I would say a well-known position. And those are the points that we have noticed after 11 months of implementation. They have started following or being more involved in the meetings. There was no question So what we can do is to maybe continue with the exercise, and then after maybe have the questions. Thank you very much. So maybe we can just answer one or two questions. I can see that there are some questions. If you want to answer some questions right away in the chat box. I don't know if in the room there are questions or online. The question I've asked, in terms of localization globally, I've understood that there is a support provided to partners. There are some criteria of selection. Now, what is expecting from them at the end? When we will reach the capacity building of some partners, what will be the next step in terms of localization? For us or Mirko, as our level, there are some objectives in the framework of this project, and the objective is that the partners of this project Flash should potentially, at the end of the project, trigger institutional funds, like we're talking about donors like EHA, to mention a few, this year or the coming year, to increase the fund available for local organizations. In the framework of this project is to help them reach a certain level of capacity in terms of conception, inception, the management of the grounds, to reach institutional funding. I don't know if my answer responds to your question. Can you hear us? Thank you very much, Paolo. Yeah, it's okay for our terms. There is a hand raised, and then after we'll move to the exercise. Mina, you have the floor. I have 3 questions. My name is Mina from Chad, and I'm also a member of the cash working group in Chad. I would like also to second my colleague to say that was a very great presentation. And I would like to know if this project is a project of construction, if there is an analysis, OCA analysis with the different partners. Were there a capacity building plan, or have you shared some of the tools with them? Because this is one important challenge. As you know, the humanitarian corpus in terms of reporting, coordination, doesn't take into consideration the capacity of local organization that we are, because the diligence is not the same. There are some of the points on which is very difficult to provide a response to. So that's a point. So I would like to know if there was a capacity building point. I think it's very important, because at the end of this project, that would be very important to have an assessment, okay? And that can also help to assess the collaboration. Why? Because very often we have this sensation that we are pillars of localizations. I didn't well understand the question, but thank you very well. I think for one of the points, you've mentioned something that really touched me. You talked about the assessment or ticket. We didn't had an assessment. We had only a standard assessment. The assessment we had conducted was the capacity of the organization, and there is a process of due diligence that DRC has implemented, and this process takes into consideration most of the procedures, their experiences, their governing body, and all the aspects that are part of the due diligence process. From the onset of the project, which has allowed us to validate the partnership and to formalize it very quickly. The activities of planning and capacity building followed. I would say that we had a very practical approach, and our problem was to allow or to build the capacity of these organizations so that they can respond to the different needs. The first contract was at the beginning of 2022, and the first response was in February 2023. What we can say is that there are a lot of things on which we can train our partners, but we wanted to be concentrated on the key one, like the framework, evaluation, rapid evaluation, the targeting, what are the deliverable at every step. And there was a training that was conducted. After that, and there was a framework which was jointly implemented. We have also other aspects related to the implementation, personal safety on ground. It was something that was put in the framework of capacity building, but which was not conducted as a prior meeting. Because when we were having the due diligence section, we have noticed that there are some of the points that are already there. We had the first action point, which was on the programmatic framework. And then after we had the capacity building, I've mentioned it on my presentation, information, Bioforce informations in September and October, and that was on finance management. That was one of the steps which was very important. Did I respond to your question? Thank you very much. Yes, you've responded to my question. Thank you, Paulo. Thank you, Mina, for the question. You have some questions in the chat box. So you can also send the reports after. If you have other questions, don't hesitate to put them in the chat Thank you, Paulo and Junior, for this interesting presentation. There is also a comment that I've shared in the chat box that can also, I hope that you will have a final organization which can be shared. And I think in localization is very important to have pilot projects. Is an opportunity. You have mentioned some challenges. I would be very interested to see some of the details. And that can also help us to have missions of mitigations and to see with local actors, because we can't decide without them. Thank you very much for the work that you are doing. And it's the same thing that we're doing at SCAP. And without further ado, I would like you to work on the Jamboard. It's 2 questions. I've already shared it in the chat box. We are the cash working group, the regional cash working group, and the different lead and co-leads. We have already debated on it, how to create a space in the cash coordination so that local actors can be accepted, well accepted, and they can also have a space of dialogue. Those questions are there. You have the question in French and the second one in English, which is translated into English. Can you, okay, what are the difficulties that local organizations face in the region in relation to their integration into cash transfer and coordination mechanism? What are the different challenges they face in coordination? If you don't know how to use the post-its, you can find that in at the left column in the videos. In the small boxes, the white boxes, you can create a sticky note. And you can even choose the color that you prefer. And you can have your notes posted. So we can work a bit and then after discuss about some points. As far as we do not have a lot of time, we will just give you some minutes. And we can move to the second question. In the cash working groups, we don't only have local organizations, we have many other people. We can share. And all your comments are welcome. After this exercise, we will also share the comments with you. And for the leads and other leads of the cash working groups, we're going to share and see how at the next meeting that we will have, what are the different mechanisms to see how we can work with the different the different working groups and adapt it to the different organism. Thank you for your contributions. We're going to share them after. Before moving to the second question, you have 1 minute. We're working on resources of local actors for their capacity, how they can be supported.
It's always interesting to listen to them, to hear from them, because with different various cash working groups, we could discuss and find out how, at the coordination level, we could address some issues. So we have things that are highlighted. I suggest that we move to the second slide. I'll say, let me try to clean the board. Other slides were created. Give me a minute. Please use the second slide. On the second slide, this is related to the former question. How can national cash working groups could support local actors and encourage their engagement within them? So for you, in order to solve some issues that you've raised, how cash working groups at the national level and also at the regional level, because we are all together in this, how we could support and create positive change for local actors. Maybe we can even ask who will be interested in working on this thematic. You can put it as a comment in the chat box. At the regional cash working group, we do work in order to address these issues. So we would also like to know if there are some people who will be interested in joining. Yes, you can put it in the chat box. I mean, those who are interested in joining this thematic, so that if we have some peculiar activities, we could reach out to them. So we'll give you another minute before we move to any other business, because we don't have a lot of time anymore. This is really interesting. Allow me to thank you already for what you've shared with us, because there are a lot of ideas. And of course, we will later put order in the Jamboard before sharing it with you to make it more clear. So support capacity building, and I also think that the cash working groups within themselves would play a priority role in support and sharing of experience in everything related to cash transfer. If you have a role to play at the cash working group, we're going to work with the cash working group and find out with the local actors how this participation could be improved within some meetings or within some groups, and also how this information sharing, be it formal or informal with local actors, could be strengthened. So the Jamboard is still open. Do not hesitate if you want to make some inputs. We are already behind of schedule, and we are going to talk about any other business. I'm now going to give the floor to Marina for a point on any other business, and later on we are going to address another point, and we will find out in the chat if
is a great workout which was conducted. We had a lot of actors and a lot of organisms which are here in the meeting. So we were going to present the different reports and when it comes to cash transfer, and we will discuss the different trends in other cash transfer globally. I think that that will be a very interesting occasion for you to understand the context of cash transfer. And I've shared in the chat the different links for you who wants to have the links in other languages. You will see that you have languages available at the top right corner, you have the link to register yourself. And then you can participate to this event because it will be very interesting. As far as we are at the end, I would like to come back on one of the points. Dangus, if you're still connected, are you there? Yes, I can see you. In 2 minutes, can you present to us the different points of the cash grouping group? No. I can see that your microphone is open, but we can hear you. You online, can you hear him? If someone can just, okay. Thank you very much. I think it's the problem at your end. Maybe it's the connection or your microphone, we don't know. We're really sorry. We're going to share the points and the reports and the minutes. I don't know if someone in this room has a question. No? So thank you very much for your participation, very active participation, and we are going to share online the recording, and we are going to share the other things with you in the coming days. Thank you very much for your participation. Thank you all. Very interesting.